Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. All right, Bushlight class at the Coliseum. Normally, I don't preview these specialty races, non-points races, but because of what this race is, I felt I wanted to do it. Bushlight class at the Coliseum. This was announced last year, November, I think, or August when the schedule came out. I was like, and I even think I said on the channel, I didn't like the idea of it. I didn't think it was going to be any good. And it was just like, why put that money into a temporary track for one race? The more I thought about it, having the off season to kind of see testing with the next gen car and watching everything and really thinking about it and then kind of in my mind, wrapping my mind around it, I realized I kind of like it now. We're going to a football stadium again in December. This stadium hosted the USC Trojans game. What does it take to turn a football stadium into a NASCAR racetrack? Well, by the numbers, 130,000 square feet of visqueen and plywood field protectant. So literally they put a layer of plywood down to protect the field. Then they put 9,200 cubic yards of fill and aggressive base material on top of the wood. And then we paved that with 6,900 yards of asphalt, blacktop asphalt. And then we put in 3,840 temporary track walls. We put in another 1,400 foot of track catch fencing, 1,400 foot of safer barrier. In order to do all this, we had to modify the tunnel entry to get everything into this stadium in order to build it. What did this create? Bowman Gray Stadium meets LA Coliseum. I've said this on the channel before during the summer, during the Countdown Series, and during the Champion Profile Series. Definitely please check those out. I'm going to get those finished up. You'll see the rest of the Countdown Series before Daytona. You will see the active driver Champion Profiles before Daytona. The retired drivers, I'll get those profiles up during the first part of the regular season. Bowman Gray Stadium is a quarter-mile flat asphalt track. Literally what this is. The Cup Series actually raced at Bowman Gray 1958 through 1971. Top speed, and we all know it's not going to be Daytona speeds or Talladega speeds or Richmond speeds, 45 to 50 mile an hour. Bowman Gray Stadium is in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It will hold 17,000 fans. Now, when this whole thing about LA Coliseum first came about, a lot of people was like, why don't they go to a local short track like a Bowman Gray? Because it's quarter miles, everybody talks about it so much. And the history of it, too. Hickory's a third of a mile. Go to one of these tracks, put $2 million into it. Upgrade the infrastructure. Have that in place for the weekly racing series. Maybe get a Cup Series, or a Xfinity Series, Truck Series, ARCA Series race there. And then go back every couple of years to them. Well, here's the thing. I thought about that, too. I actually agreed with that early on. Then I got thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute. This race is the week before the Super Bowl in the city of the Super Bowl. So you have fans in LA, more than likely would be there for the Super Bowl. What does it do for the city of LA in that region, Los Angeles County, for those people to come in a week before the Super Bowl to see this spectacle? And this is what this is. It's a spectacle. It's not a points race. It is for money and for specifically the debut of the next gen car in Los Angeles. You have people going to be at this race that normally wouldn't go to a race. You have people in Hollywood that are going to be here just because it is the cool thing to do to be there, the red carpet kind of deal. They wouldn't go to Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They don't even know where that's at. Obviously NASCAR fans, we know where Bowman Gray is. We know where Winston-Salem, and we know Charlotte is the hub of NASCAR. Most of the people that'll be at this track, not most, I'd say a good portion of them, have never watched a NASCAR race. Has no clue, really, anything about NASCAR. Oh, it's in a football stadium. This is a spectacular. This is something that's never happened before. I want to be there. So, how's this going to work? We're not going to put 40 cars on this quarter-mile track. No. The most cars that'll be on there at the time is 23. That's the main event. Okay. Yeah. And you wonder why I've been behind on the Countdown Series for the Daytona 500. That's why. Been dealing with that for 3 weeks. and moving. So yeah. So there's 36 cars that have the charters. They're talking up to 40 cars being there. So we're gonna have 4 qualifying races of 10 cars apiece, up to 10 cars apiece. Those are gonna be 25 lappers. The top 4 move on to the main event. So if there's 10 cars per race, top 4 move on. So the next 6 go to the B main. So they'll have qualifying today. The qualifying will set the heat races. So if you're number 1 qualifier, you're in the first heat race. Number 2 qualifier, you're in a second heat race, third, fourth, on down the line, etc. So the top 4 move on. So now the rest of the field, 5 to 6, will go into, for the first and third heat race, will go into the first B main. So if there's 6, that's 12 cars in that second B main. The top 3 of that will move on to the main event. Same way with heat number 2 and 4 will be the heat races 1 and 2, or heat races 2 and 4 will go to the second B main. Top 3 move on. Now that gives us 22 in the main event. Now on the main event, the final position will go by the highest 2021 points position. So for example, if Kyle Larson doesn't qualify well, has a really bad heat race, really bad B main, he's still in it because he's the champion. He gets that first provisional. So right now, technically, Kyle Larson is the only person to qualify for the one of 23 in the main event, which I'm fine with that because he's the reigning champion. Honestly, he ain't going to need that provisional starting. This is Kyle freaking Larson. The dude won 30 races last year. He's freaking wins everything he gets into. Dirt race, midget, whatever you call it, and whatever you want to be in. And he wins. I mean, that's all he does. Yeah, that's a way different coming from me, right? B main will be 50 laps, and then the main event is 150 laps. Obviously, last year, I wasn't a big fan of Kyle Larson at all. I'm a Hendrick fan through and through. Everything, and anytime Hendrick Motorsports is running well, I'm a fan of it. Any of their drivers, typically. Kyle Larson, we all know what happened in 2020. I kind of held a grudge about that. I'm like, yeah, that's not right, dude. I don't care who you are, that you don't say stuff like that. And I kind of was like, well, NASCAR's going to suspend you. I don't want anything to do with you. When he came back, I was like, seeing what he did last year, hearing interviews with him and people talking to him about just in general racing and stuff, seems like a pretty cool guy. I mean, to be honest with you. I mean, am I going to out and out root for him? No. Am I going to pick him when it's time to pick him? Yeah, hell yeah, I am. It's like anybody, but it's like I'm not a hate on Kyle Larson this year. So when I looked at my picks here, because if you followed me in the past, I've done typically 3 picks. Some of the bigger races I'll do 4 picks. And if you really look at the NASCAR 36 charters, we know there's probably 20 of those teams that have the capability of winning. So out of the 36 charter teams, if I pick 4, that's basically 11% of the field. If you think about a football game, I do my football picks here, it's 50-50. If you pick a wrestling match, I do a preview for a wrestling match. If it's a triple threat match, you have a 33% chance of winning. I don't care. Unless you're Scott Steiner, then it's like, 76.9% or something stupid. So I think in the Cup Series in 2022, because of the next-gen car and because of the unknowns, I'm probably going to go with 4 picks. I mean, we'll see. I think the cream of the crop will rise to the top. But I think this year is going to be very interesting, to say the least. And so one thing about LA Memorial Coliseum, it will be the first stadium, 2028, it'll be the first stadium ever to host 3 Summer Olympic Games. 1932, 1984, and then 2028. It has hosted MLB games when the Brooklyn Dodgers moved from LA, or from Brooklyn to the Dodgers moved from Brooklyn to San Francisco, or LA, sorry. I was thinking the New York Giants. I think the article I was reading said they played the Giants there. But yeah, the Brooklyn Dodgers moved from Brooklyn to LA. They played there. The Rams moved from Chicago to LA to St. Louis and back to LA. Both stints in LA. They played in the Coliseum. The USC Trojans, home games in the Coliseum. Soccer has been played there. The Mickey Thompson Off-Road Series had a truck race there. I think Monster Jam has been there. They've had just who's who of concerts there over the years. So I think it's one of those deals where it's a famous stadium. We turn it into a racetrack. That's going to draw eyes on it. It looks really cool in the pictures. I mean, they look really cool in the pictures. I can't wait. I mean, practice is at 11:30 Central Time. I can't wait to watch it today. Qualifying's today. The heat races and the main events tomorrow. So I think there's a lot for 2 days, a week before the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a spectacular, one of those spectacular things. It's going to be kind of neat. And this thing I've looked at, I'm like, okay, how am I going to do my picks for this? Because we've never done this before. First time ever. So I looked at, so we think about, it's a quarter-mile flat track. Okay, let's look at the flat tracks in NASCAR. Short tracks that are flat. Martinsville, New Hampshire, Phoenix, Richmond. Those are typically our short, flat tracks. The drivers that did the best on those type of tracks, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski. Now, if you look at those names, what do they have in common? Penske, Joe Gibbs. But there's a kid named Kyle Larson he knows, what's so funny, I listened to an interview with him and I asked him questions about the next gen car because he was at the Phoenix test. He's like, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. He doesn't know how the car is set up. He doesn't know anything about setting the car up. All he knows how to do is just take steering wheel, go run fast and win races. And he can tell his crew chief, hey, it's doing this. There's a lot of drivers out there being like, okay, it's doing this, so we need to do this, or we need to do this or this to get it to do this. He's like, dude, it's doing this, fix it. It's like, okay, the guy knows nothing about a freaking race car except how to go fast and win races. It's nuts. Yeah, so it's like, I'm looking at these, I'm like, okay, we're going to do our picks. So I'm going to do 4 picks for the Bushlight Clash at the Coliseum, the debut of the 2022 NASCAR season, the debut of the next-gen car, the 7th generation of car in NASCAR history. Okay, so my 4 picks. I got to go with Kyle Larson. I just can't not go with Kyle Larson. Because of what they've done on the flat, short tracks, and because they know they can go out there and win races, Martin Truex Jr., I don't think this is going to pass him by. Joey Logano, he's done well on the short tracks. You figure he won the first dirt race in NASCAR in 50-plus years. Wasn't a dirt guy, and he won a dirt race. And then Denny Hamlin. I think Hamlin will figure it out. I got 2 Joe Gibbs cars here and a Penske car, and then Hendrick Motorsports. So I think as we run through the next gen season, 2022 season, we're going to see people do things they've not done before. We're going to see teams that normally don't get in the top 15, top 20, be in the top 15, top 20. I don't think you're going to see a bottom filler team, no offense. You're going to see a bottom filler team win races. And I think you're going to have the main guys win races, which I'm going to do a season preview and championship picks, right, the week of the 500. So we'll get more into who I think is going to do what. But I think I wouldn't, if I had to pick a sleeper, just that person like out of nowhere that could come in and win this. Your 2021 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion, Daniel Hamrick. I believe he is in the 16 Collie car for this race. He would be a sleeper for me. But, I'm going to write that down. Sleeper. This is non-points. This is just for fun. Which, and that's the thing here. When I pick these races, right, wrong, or indifferent, it's just for fun. I don't put money on it. It's just all about time for me. Time to write stuff out. And time to do these videos and upload it and stuff. So, yeah. So, all right. Bushlight Clash at the Coliseum. It has never happened before until February 6th. And then it's already happened. Next year, we're going to do the same thing. If we do it at the Coliseum again. And instead of saying it's never happened before, you can go, it's only happened once. But anyway, my picks to win the Clash at the Coliseum: Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin. My 4 picks. My sleeper pick, just for fun today, Daniel Hamrick in the 16 Collie car. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show. Don't just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channel content.